R. Kelly has been in court these past few weeks, and he's got a lot of different people testifying against him. This man has some serious charges against him, and he's going to be in jail for a very long time. But in today's video, I want to talk about what we've learned about Aaliyah during R. Kelly's trial. As you know, these two illegally married when Aaliyah was only 15 years old. And so far, we've had the minister who married them testify, we've had R. Kelly's old tour manager testify, and some of his background performers. So let's get into it. So both R. Kelly and Aaliyah are American singer and songwriters. Unfortunately, Aaliyah is no longer with us because she lost her life in a plane accident over 2 decades ago. If you guys have not seen my video about Aaliyah and that crash, definitely go and check it out. But today I want to focus on R. Kelly's marriage to Aaliyah because since R. Kelly has been in trial these past few weeks, we have learned a lot about him and his relationship with Aaliyah. We've talked about R. Kelly's trial before on my channel, but like I said, today we're going to be focusing on the marriage because there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start off by talking about Angela. She's one of R. Kelly's backup performers, and she shared what she saw. So Angela first met R. Kelly back in 1991 when she was between 14 and 15 years old, and of course, they started getting physical right away when she was still underage. Angela recalls that R. Kelly often pressured her and other backup performers to do it with him against their will. Angela testified that she saw R. Kelly getting physical with Aaliyah when Aaliyah was only 13 or 14 years old. R. Kelly has harmed a lot of different women. We've talked about this, but Aaliyah was definitely the youngest one. And we actually found that out in the courtroom that yes, Aaliyah was the youngest child that R. Kelly was messing around with. But one time, Angela actually witnessed them getting physical because she went to go and visit R. Kelly on his tour bus. But as she began to open the door, she saw R. Kelly, who at the time was in his mid-20s, and he was getting physical with Aaliyah. It actually looks like she's describing him going down on her and using, getting oral. At that point, Angela closed the door and she ran away and never spoke to R. Kelly about what she saw. You guys might be wondering, why was a 13-year-old Aaliyah on tour with R. Kelly? Well, at the time, she was in training for her own music career because R. Kelly and Aaliyah was working on her first album. As you guys know, he was seen creeping in the background of that album cover. So Aaliyah was on R. Kelly's tour to prepare for her career in music. Angela shared another experience that went down in Washington, D.C. So all the girls and the background dancers were in their hotel rooms, and R. Kelly told them to stay there. But they wanted to go to 7-Eleven and get some treats, so they did, and they got in trouble for doing so. And R. Kelly wanted to punish them, so he made them get physical with him and just do it. Angela was quoted saying, "Robert told all of us that we would have to put out. It was Due's time." And she was explaining to the court that R. Kelly would go and make them get physical with him as punishment for breaking his rules. Supposedly, in that instance, Angela denied, and she was not going to do it with R. Kelly under those circumstances, but Aaliyah had to because she was part of the group and she broke the rules, so that's how it goes in R. Kelly's world. And you guys might be wondering, is he going to be criminally charged for what he's done to Aaliyah? And unfortunately, he won't be because this was back in the 90s. The statute of limitations have expired, and it looks like R. Kelly won't be able to be held accountable for these crimes, but they're able to group these crimes into another charge. They are trying to charge R. Kelly with racketeering, which claims that the singer was head of a criminal scheme that preyed on women and underage girls, getting physical with them and exploiting their bodies. R. Kelly currently faces 1 count of racketeering and 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, which prohibits transporting people across state lines for the purpose of using and exploiting their bodies. He has denied these accusations and pleaded not guilty, but it's not looking good. Now let's talk about the man who married R. Kelly and Aaliyah, because that's gotta be a sick dude to marry a teenager to a grown man. And this man, Nathan, actually appeared in court through Zoom. He did not want to be there. He made it very clear to the court that he did not want to testify, but he had to. That minister, Nathan, testified that he never met R. Kelly or Aaliyah until the day of their wedding, and he had been asked by a friend that he shared with R. Kelly to officiate the wedding as a favor. He said, "I didn't think it was anybody special. I didn't understand it at all." I feel like weddings are supposed to be special, and if you don't understand what's going on in that situation, then why do it? Why go and marry these people if it doesn't seem special and you don't understand why it's happening? And it was a sketchy wedding. It went down in a hotel room in Illinois. Nathan testifies that the door opened to the bedroom and stepped out Aaliyah and R. Kelly. Nathan said that the couple were both wearing matching jogging suits for the ceremony, which lasted only 10 minutes. They both had one leg pulled up on the jogging suit to the knee, and he claims that you couldn't see Aaliyah's whole face because her hair was over half of her face. Prosecutors never asked Nathan if Aaliyah appeared young or if he had any inkling that he was marrying a minor to a full-grown adult. But he's never really wanted to talk about the situation because he told R. Kelly that he's going to keep his mouth shut, so he's really reluctant to be here in this court hearing on this date. R. Kelly actually asked Nathan to sign an NDA, but he kind of chuckled and he asked R. Kelly, "Why would I do that? I said it wasn't worth the paper it was written on. It should have been more airtight." So ultimately, Nathan never signed the NDA, but he gave R. Kelly his word that he would not speak about the marriage, and he kept his word. It was until he was subpoenaed and was forced to speak about R. Kelly that he did so. Honestly, I wish the minister was getting a little bit more heat for literally marrying a minor to a grown adult. But you guys might be wondering, how did we even get to the point where they were marrying in this hotel room? Because actually, R. Kelly's tour manager had to go and bribe the government to get official paperwork to make it seem like Aaliyah was a grown adult. His former tour manager was actually crying in the courtroom while talking about this situation with Aaliyah. Demetrius actually met R. Kelly when R. Kelly was only 16 years old. This was back in the 1980s when he was in high school and he was performing around doing shows. Well, it looks like Demetrius didn't want to speak against R. Kelly, but federal prosecutors forced him to take the stand. The only reason why Demetrius is testifying now is because he was given immunity from future charges. But pretty much what happened was, back in 1994, R. Kelly was on tour and he told Demetrius that Aaliyah's in trouble. R. Kelly made it sound really, really serious. He told Demetrius, "We gotta get out of here. We gotta go home. We need to get back to Aaliyah." They rushed back to Chicago because they wanted to protect Aaliyah and protect R. Kelly because supposedly Aaliyah had a pregnancy scare. Again, at this time, she's a 15-year-old girl and R. Kelly is 27 years old, so definitely not legal. So R. Kelly wanted to figure out a way to make it seem like Aaliyah was legal. Demetrius told the court that he remembers that day, and once he actually obtained the fake ID for Aaliyah, she gave him a look like he let her down. So it seems like Aaliyah maybe didn't want to get married to R. Kelly, but she was kind of forced into it. As you guys know, if you watched my first video on Aaliyah, she was very I was gonna say very open about her traumatic experience with R. Kelly, but she really wasn't. She never gave details, but she said it was so bad, so traumatic, that she couldn't speak to anyone else about this. She would need to go to a professional and get therapy and things like that. So it seems like she never got closure over what R. Kelly did to her. So Demetrius went to a Chicago area welfare office back in 1994, and he approached an employee who was taking ID photos. He said to the employee, "Hey, you want to make some money?" And then he handed over some cash. He was confident in the bribe because everybody needs some money. With $500, Demetrius was able to go and get a fake ID that claims that Aaliyah was 18 years old. At that point, they used the fake ID to go and get this marriage license, and this marriage license was used and presented to Nathan, and Nathan married the couple illegally. Kelly, because Aaliyah, again, was 15 years old, and even though they thought she was pregnant at the time, she wasn't actually pregnant. Like, we don't have any, like, clear source saying that she was or was. I mean, it looks like she wasn't, but we also don't know if she was forced to, like, get rid of it, which is really horrific to think about. But when it comes to Demetrius, he said he's not mad at the system for doing their job. Like I said earlier, Demetrius was forced against his will to speak on R. Kelly, so he really didn't want to. But he just said, you know, they're all doing their job. She's a prosecutor. She believes in her job and she's doing what she does. Can't knock her for who she is. Same with the judge. So at least he's respecting these people, like, in the courtroom, because, like, this is a very serious crime. And it's like, I know you want to stay true to your word and you want to go and defend your friend R. Kelly. But at the end of the day, he's done some despicable things that he needs to be held accountable for. And it's time for all these people to come forward and explain everything they know, because it looks like Aaliyah went through hell with R. Kelly, and I think that she deserves justice as well. It's sad that, like, she can't get that justice because, like, the statute of limitations and things like that. But at the same time, if the racketeering charge goes through, that really does encompass, like, Aaliyah's, like, pain and what she went through. So it kind of is serving justice. But I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Aaliyah's marriage to R. Kelly is devastating and it should have never happened. And we need to make sure we protect future artists from this mess, because it's not okay that this young girl was taken advantage of by this man. If you guys have any other video ideas for me, here's my email below. But let's go ahead and open a P.O. Box package item. This one looks like it's from, like, am I showing the address? Looks like it's from, I can't tell. Refreshed Electronics. I wonder what that means. It's kind of scary. But let's go ahead and see what they sent me. Okay. Oh, it looks like we got a note here too. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. What is this? Okay, thank you for your order. What is this? Some type of, like, collar? Some type of, like, dog collar? Let's see. There's not really a note here. What is this? Am I being, like, we're gonna get rid of this? Because am I being tracked? What is this? I did not order this at all. And it looks like it was broken at the bottom. USB board for Raven Ridge. What is this? We're getting rid of this one. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and put this one away. Okay. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you guys in a new one soon. Bye, guys.